Now, here's the battle changes. This is the big stuff, right? This is where we get into the crazy changes. Healers get Lucid Dreaming at level 14. That's great. The earlier you can get Lucid Dreaming, the more you can be using it. And especially early on, you're going to be using a lot of MP if your tanks aren't geared correctly or if they're overpulling, or if if DPS just stand in the bad, you can be using a lot more MP. So getting that 10 levels earlier is very good. Then we have the tank changes, which there's a lot of them. Paladins, Iron Will, and this will be for all the tank stances, reduced from 10 seconds to 3 seconds on the recast, just to be able to take your stance up faster, which is cool. I guess if you drop it and didn't mean to drop it, now you can get it back a lot faster. Clemency and Holy Spirit no longer interrupt combos. Awesome. I love playing Paladin. I love using my Holy Spirit in my Holy Circle in my Requiescat window, but interrupting combos with it is really annoying. Requiescat also, the additional effect grants Blade of Faith ready when the effect of Requiescat. When the effect of Requiescat ends, it's been added with a duration of 30 seconds. Very cool. Holy Circle also no longer interrupts combos. Confiteor has been added with a cure potency of 400 onto it, restores own HP, which is awesome. Blade of Faith is no longer a combo action with Confiteor, and instead the requirement Blade of Faith ready, which you get from Requiescat, has been added, and it adds with a cure of 400. Blade of Truth has the added cure of 400 potency, and Blade of Valor also has the cure potency of 400 added to it. And then you get the healing effect to Confiteor with Divine Magic Mastery 2. I think it's really nice to have that go instead of off of Requiescat or off of Confiteor onto Requiescat, because it means that you have more freedom with your MP to be able to play around with other things with it, and you just get your big cool sword attack faster, which is what you want anyway. And it has the cure on it as well. Paladin's going to be even tankier because of this in a way that I think is really cool. Warrior, same recast change to Defiance. Overpower's area of effect has been changed from a cone before you to all nearby enemies. There were situations where this was good and bad, that it was an AoE cone in front of you, because you could line the cone up to be able to hit everything, and it felt really cool that you had the AoE that was the cone, or you could hit only specific enemies if you were off-tanking, or if you're out in the open world and you only want to hit a couple enemies, Overpower lets you do that. Now it's just going to hit everything, but it also means you won't miss mobs when you're trying to pull, and at the end of the day, I think that's more important. And then Inner Release, stacks of Inner Release now only apply to Fell, Cleave, and Decimate. The additional effect nullifies Stun, Sleep, Bind, Heavy, and most knockback and draw-on effects has been changed to grants Inner Strength, nullifying Stun, Sleep, Bind, Heavy, and most knockback and draw-on effects. So, it makes sense now. But it also only applies to Fell, Cleave, and Decimate. Dark Knight, Grit has been reduced as well, and then Flood of Darkness, potency has been dropped from 130 to 100, but you'll see why here. Blood Weapon now grants 5 stacks of the Blood Weapon effect, which is very nice, and the effect duration has been increased from 10 to 15 seconds. So you only get 5, but you have 15 seconds to use them, as compared to trying to slam in as many as you could in the 10-second window. Stalwart Soul, you now get it 40 instead of 72, which is very nice. And Living Dead is finally getting changed. Living Dead still needs just a little bit of work, but it's finally getting a change. The additional effect restores HP with each weapon skill successfully delivered or spell cast has been added with a cure potency of 1500. If an amount of HP totaling your maximum HP is restored before the Walking Dead timer runs out, the effect will now change to Undead Rebirth, with a duration carried over from the time remaining for Walking Dead. While under the effect of Undead Rebirth, most attacks will not lower your HP below 1. So if you can get cured all the way up, whether by a healer or yourself, with the each weapon skill successfully delivered or cast with a potency of 1500, then you get the duration of the invuln still from Living Dead. It just becomes Undead Rebirth, which is very nice. I think that doesn't completely fix it, because you can still die, but I think it's a whole lot better than it was. And I like that Dark Knights can do this on their own too, because it means that this cooldown now works solo play as well. It now works when the healer's dead. There's a lot of options you can play around with Living Dead now that you just couldn't do before at all. So on the whole, I think this is better. That's also why Flood of Darkness has potency reduced, I'm assuming, because otherwise Living Dead is going to heal them a lot off that. But it's a potency of 1500. So who knows? Really, you're going to be using Flood of Darkness a lot more because of Blood Weapon. But we'll see. It really just depends on how it plays, but I think this will be, on the whole, a much better choice for Dark Knights than what they've had so far. And Gunbreaker's only change is the recast has been reduced for Royal Guard. So cool. Perfect Balance on Monk can no longer be executed while under the effect of any Beast Chakra. So you can no longer do it while you're under the effect of any Beast Chakra. But once you've used it, you can use Perfect Balance again. Dragoon, Jump. The animation's been shortened again. Seems like every major expansion, the first patch after every major expansion, Jump gets shortened, and that jump time gets cut down. The action now changes to Mirage Dive while under the effect of Mirage Dive Ready, which is very nice. I like that. Same button, very cool. High Jump action's animation has also been shortened, and it now changes to Mirage Dive while under the effect of Mirage Dive Ready. Elusive Jumps action animation has been shortened. Spine Shatter Dives action animation has been shortened, and Dragonfire Dives action animation has been shortened. So yet again, Dragoon will feel better. You won't clip as much, and hopefully you won't get stuck in animation lock near as much after these. Ninja and Samurai are where the big changes come in. It's Dark Knight, Paladin, Ninja, and Samurai are the huge changes this patch, in my opinion. So, Ninja. Hide now dispels the effect of Doton upon execution. I don't know why. I assume this is so that they don't have to deal with the AI targeting setup where you hit an enemy after you're hidden and you're supposed to no longer have aggro and enmity, and then you hit an enemy and it gives you... I'm assuming that's why. Or maybe they just wanted a button to be able to dispel a Doton if you didn't want to push DPS anymore. Either way, that's an interesting change. Mug, the additional effect increases target damage taken by 5%, has been added with a duration of 20 seconds, which is... We're going to talk about Trick Attack here. The additional effect of increased damage taken by 5% has been changed to increased damage you deal target by 10%. So Trick Attack has been taken from Trick Attack and given to Mug on a 20-second duration. And then you have your own Trick Attack is now a solo buff that increases damage you deal to the target by 10%. So Ninja is no longer like a guaranteed bring, I would say. It's still good. You still have the effect of Trick Attack, right? Mug still works for it. But it absolutely shakes things up because now not only do you have... Mug is on a longer cooldown than Trick Attack, but Ninja is also going to be doing a bunch of solo damage along with that. So Ninja's DPS is quite a bit higher now because you can get Trick Attacks out relatively quickly, especially if you're going Skill Speed Monk. Or Skill Speed Ninja, I mean. But your Mug timer is not going to go down. So your Trick Attacks are going to take longer. Trick windows are going to be easier to line up for most people. But now it's Mug windows, which feels weird to say. But I do think that Ninja is still going to be desired, but I don't think it's going to be quite as much a lock because of how much longer that cooldown is. But I say that Ninja's personal DPS is going to be very, very good because not only does it have Trick Attack now, increasing damage, it deals the target by 10%, but it also got buffed around the board, basically. Aeolian Edge potency has gone up by 20, both standard and rear combo. Doton's potency has gone up by 10, though the duration has been reduced to 18 seconds from 24. Hake Mujin Sato has been up by 10 potency for the combo. Armor Crush, 20 potency more for flank combo as well. Bava Kakra, little bit of a nerf, 400 to 350. And Phantom Kamataichi from 550 to 600, you now also get melee mastery at 74 instead of 84. As Shikuchi's action animation has been shorted, that's cool. It'll make it easier to survive things that you're trying to get past. But on the whole, this is a pretty big buff for Ninja that I think is going to make Ninja's personal damage go up quite a bit, even if the raid damage that Ninja brings is a little bit less now because Mug has that longer cooldown. I'm excited to see how it works out for it, though, because I'm somebody who loves playing Ninja. I'm now a Sage main. Ninja was my main for a very long time, and I still love playing it. So I'm not against Ninja having more personal damage at all. But the Mug change is going to be interesting. We're going to have to see how that plays out. Samurai also has gotten a huge change here. So you're going to see nerfs across the board, but there is a reason for that. And some buffs... It's interesting to see how this all works out. So Hakaze went up by 20 potency. Jinpu went up by 20 potency. Shifu went up by 20 potency. Gecko went up by 20 potency. And the combo potencies have gone up as well by 10. Higanbana's damage over time potency went up. Mangetsu's potency went up by 10. Kasha's potency went up by 20 and 10. And you may say, well, all these potencies are going up. What do you mean nerfs? Well, we'll get there. Third Eye's effect duration has been increased from 3 to 4 seconds. Tenkagoken's area of effect has been changed to a cone before you to all nearby enemies. You no longer get the AoE, now it's in front of you. Oka's potency has been increased by 10. Yukikaze's potency has been increased by 20. This is where the stuff is going to seem like a nerf, right? Midari Setsugeka is your big one. 660 to 600. I get why people are going to look at that and go, no, but Setsugeka is the job. It's not, but I get why you say that. But it's also now a guaranteed crit. You're going to be doing way more potency than you ever were with a guaranteed crit. Meikyo Shisui, ranged weapon skills no longer count towards the effect of this action, so you can use those freely in the middle of it. Hisatsu Shinten, you now get it 52 instead of 62, and the potency has been reduced from 27 to 2050. Hisatsu Yaten, the activation time has been adjusted to match that of other backstep actions. Hisatsu Kyuten is now acquired at 62 instead of 64. Kaishi Higanbana's potency has been reduced to 200 from 300. Kaishi Goken's been reduced from 420 to 280. That's a big nerf, right? Kaishi Setsugeka has been reduced from 990 to 600, but it's a guaranteed crit. That's going to hurt. You're going to be doing a lot of damage with this. Shoha's potency has been reduced from 580 to 500. Ogi Namikiri's potency has been reduced from 900 to 800, but it's now a guaranteed crit. And Kaishi Namakiri goes down from 1350 to 800, but it's a guaranteed crit. Realistically, I think if you're building into direct hit, you're probably going to be getting a lot more damage out of Samurai. But if you're not, this is a pretty substantial Samurai nerf. Definitely something to keep in mind for Samurai mains, but I do think on the whole, you will be doing more damage. You got quite a few buffs. It's just your big hitters that got nerfed, but they're also now guaranteed crits for the most part. So I think it will balance out. I think Samurai is going to be very fun to play with these guaranteed crits because crits just feel good, man, to be honest with you. Getting that boot shine as a monk, it just feels good when you get that guaranteed crit, even if it's not doing all that much damage. So, Reaper's Hell's Ingress, the duration of Enhanced Harp has been increased from 15 to 20 seconds, and the action animation has been shortened. Hell's Egress, the duration of Enhanced Harp has been increased from 15 to 20 seconds, and the animation has been shortened. And Regress itself, the animations have been shortened. Trying to get all these animations quicker so that people can get where they're trying to go. For Bard, range has been increased from 5 to 15 yalms on Repelling Shot, and the activation time has been adjusted to match that of other backstep actions. Battle Voice no longer requires the Mage's Ballad, Army's Paean, or the Wanderer's Minuet to be active, which is great. And then Wanderer's Minuet action now changes to Pitch Perfect upon execution. Just save you a little bit of that hotbar clutter. I think Bards are going to be in a pretty solid place from here. Machinist. Heat Blast potency has been increased from 170 to 180. Wildfire potency increase per weapon skill end has been increased from 150 to 200. Drill's potency has been increased from 570 to 580. Air Anchor's potency has been increased from 570 to 580. Pile Bunker's potency has been increased from 650 to 680. Crowned Collider's potency has been increased from 750 to 780. And Chainsaw has been increased from 570 to 580. Pretty small buffs all around, but it will add up to quite a bit more damage. Dancer got some pretty big changes here. Standard Step is now a weapon skill. Imboy, Intrachat, Jeté, and Pirouette are now weapon skills as well, which is really cool. This means that they'll be able to benefit from a lot, and so is Technical Step. They'll be able to benefit from a lot of the other buffs that they otherwise weren't able to benefit from before. Cascade's additional effect, 50% chance of granting Flourishing Symmetry, has been changed to 50% chance of granting Silken Symmetry. And Fountain's the same way. Windmill's the same way. Reverse Cascade, the requirement for execution has been changed from can only be executed while under the effect of Flourishing Symmetry to can only be executed while under the effect of Silken Symmetry or Flourishing Symmetry. Then Blade Shower is from Flourishing Flow to Silken Flow. Rising Windmill the same as Reverse Cascade. Fountain Fall the same, and Blood Shower the same. And players can still receive the effect of Flourishing Symmetry and Flourishing Flow from the Flourish action. So this should hopefully give Flourish a little bit more of a use while also making it where your attacks combo off your weapon skills pretty well and you know, hopefully work a little better as a job and a little bit more easy to understand and play. But we'll see. That will remain to be seen. Summoner got some pretty interesting changes here. The recast time for Ruby Ruin has been increased from 2.5 to 3 seconds, and the potency has been buffed by 40. Ruby Outburst has been increased for the same distance and buffed by 20. Ruby Ruin 2, that's a lot of R's, from 2.5 to 3 as well, with a 40 potency increase. And Ruby Ruin 3, the same recast time change with a 50 potency increase. And Ruby Right has been increased by 60 potency. So it'll take it a little bit longer to cast, but it'll hurt a lot more. Searing Light can now be executed directly from the caster, rather via Carbuncle. Ruby Disaster got the same time change with a buff of 20. Ruby Catastrophe, same time change with a buff of 30. And Ruin Mastery 4 increases the potency of Ruby Right from 450 to 510. So you'll be doing a little bit more damage with all your Ruby stuff with Ifrit, but it will take you a little bit longer to get them in there. Red Mage, Displacement's action animation has been shortened. Onto our healers. White Mage, Stone, MP cost has been reduced from 400 to 200. Same with Arrow, and the effect duration has been increased from 18 to 30 seconds. Stone 2 has been reduced, MP cost from 400 to 200. Regen, MP cost by 100. Cure 3's radius has been increased from 6 to 10 yalms. Arrow 2 has gotten the same treatment as Arrow 1. Asylum's range has been increased from 8 to 10 yalms. Secret of the Lily, time before a Lily is added to the healing gauge, has been reduced from once every 30 seconds to once every 20 seconds. Stone 3's potency has been reduced from 230 to 220, but the MP cost has been reduced from 400 to 300. Stone 4's potency has been reduced from 270 to 260. Afflictus Misery's potency has been increased from 900 to 1240. And reduction in potency after the first enemy has been increased from 25% to 50%. It's going to hit individual targets a lot more, but it's got way more drop-off now. And Liturgy of the Bell, the additional healing effect for remaining stacks of Liturgy of the Bell, will now be triggered when time expires or upon executing this action a second time, which is very cool. Scholars, I think before I move on from this, I'm sorry, the big MP cost reduction here is actually a lot more of a buff than I think people really realize it is. And then your arrows lasting longer, your radius is being increased. Your individual Stone 3 may do less damage, and Stone 4 may do less damage, but you're getting a lot more damage on Afflictus Misery to single target, and you're getting a lot more spells you can cast without having to worry about trying to use Lucid. Scholars, Ruin, MP cost has been reduced from 400 to 300. Embrace, range from which party member can be targeted, has been increased. Bio's MP cost and Bio 2's MP cost got the same treatment as Ruin. Sacred Soil's area of effect has been increased from 8 to 10. And Expedient's effect duration has been reduced from 20 to 10 seconds. I think anybody that's been playing with Scholar at high level sees this coming. Because Scholar needed a little bit more MP, for sure. But Expedient was very good. And reducing it to 10 seconds, I think, still makes it very good for an emergency situation or for the right situation, but doesn't make it quite as strong as it was before. I'm not one of those people that thought Scholar necessarily needed a nerf, but I expected Expedient to get hit by like this. Astrologian's Combust effect duration has been increased from 18 to 30, just like Arrow. And then Sage, Dosis MP cost has been reduced by 100. Very nice. You use Dosis a lot, so it makes sense. Teria now grants 4 stacks of the Teria effect, and effect potency has been increased from 50 to 70%. Very, very nice. And then Addersting now gain maximum stacks of Addersting upon entering an instance or restarting an instant battle. Thank you so much. Ugh, it's so annoying to have to be like, hey, can we just wait a second? I know, but I'm going to need these Adderstings. Just please give me like 10 seconds so that once this fight starts, I have that 10-second gain. So very, very cool. Glad for that. And Teria is a very cool ability. New traits have been added for Ninja, level 84, Melee Mastery 2, increase the potency of Spinning Edge to 220 and Gust Slash to 160. Samurai, level 66, Way of the Samurai, increase the potency of Hakaze to 200, Jinpu to 120, and Shifu to 120. And then at 84, Way of the Samurai 2, increase the potency of Gecko, Kasha, and Yukikaze to 120. Kaiten has been removed completely. That's why you now have the crits on Samurai. And then miscellaneous adjustments to action, trait, and status effect descriptions have been made. Though the effects haven't changed. The following additions adjustments have been made to job gauges. The appearance of the dancer's Esprit gauge when filled to 50 or higher has been adjusted to be more discernible. The sound effect played when a bard's soul voice gauge reaches 100 will now also play when the gauge reaches 80. Moreover, a new visual indicator has been added for when the gauge reaches 80.